In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, I am very grateful to God for giving me this blessing to meet you. It was Saturday last week around similar time that I had a session with the Shia and Benedictine sisters, and I was talking about hope. The whole theme was hope, so everyone was talking somehow about hope. And my theme was hope, especially in the context of the end of time. And Sister Rosa, she said that she prayed that I can have this talk for all sisters. And at that time, I welcomed in my heart, but I couldn't see any opportunity in near future because I had my flight on Wednesday. And I was hoping that maybe somehow I come another time to Kenya or online. But then my flight was canceled, and as you may have heard, Iran is under attack, my country. So no airport is open. So I had to rebook my flight, and so I tried to be booking in the way that I can meet you. And so God willing, tonight I will travel, but I have to go to another country and then by road go. So I'm grateful that God in this difficult time gave me opportunity and blessing of being with you. And I hope we can find that our joint and common search for God and for hope would enable us to better understand this important topic in both our traditions and become more hopeful. Actually, I told at the end of my talk last time that I myself became more hopeful when I finished my talk because I was inspired by the audience, and the talk went to different direction. Okay, asking God for guidance and assistance and trusting your unity with me, I will start my talk. There is a close relation between hope and faith. I speak from a Muslim perspective because I never attempt to talk as a kind of person who is capable of talking about Christianity, but my understanding says that this is very common. So, salam. So at the end of my talk, I asked sisters, did you feel that this is a Muslim imam speaking to you, or it could be also a Christian priest? And they said, yes, it could be a Christian priest. So if I talk from Islamic perspective, it's just because I don't dare talking about Christianity because I leave it for Christians themselves to talk. But in my heart, I am convinced that this is very common. So there is a close connection between faith and hope. And if there is faith, definitely there must be hope. It's impossible to believe in God with all his mercy and all his power and knowledge and then be hopeless. Why you are hopeless? Do you think God cannot intervene? Or do you think God does not care about us so that he intervenes? None of them is correct. So as believers, we are always full of hope that God can help us in our spiritual journey and also in worldly life. Anything that relates to us is possible to be supported and directed by God. Therefore, in Islamic understanding, one of the major sins is to be despaired from mercy of God. To the extent that some hadith, do you know hadith? Hadith means it's not the Quran, but the sayings of the prophets or imams who are infallible. So there is a hadith which says, even if, God forbids, someone has killed prophets, killing even one ordinary person is like killing everyone. It's a great crime to kill people. Murder is very bad and very severely condemned in Islam. But imagine if someone has killed several prophets, not even one prophet. But still he should not be despaired from God's mercy. Should not say, there is no way that if I repent, God will forgive me. Hadith says, to be despaired from God's mercy is worse than the crime that he has committed. Can you guess why? Why this despair is worse than that? It's very logical. Because if you committed a major sin, a big crime, there is a chance to repent and be forgiven, to correct yourself, to try to, restore the damage which is caused as much as you can. But at least between you and God, you can ask for forgiveness. But if you are despaired and you say, God is not going to forgive me, then you will never repent. You will never try to correct. Satan has this policy, is a double policy. One of mystics say that before committing sins tells us, don't worry. You are young. You can, repent when you become older. Enjoy your life. God is so loving and forgiving and merciful. Don't worry. Commit the sin. But when you commit sins and you want to repent, then he changes his policy. Says, it's too late. With all the sins you have committed, there is no chance to become a good person. Just carry on. Don't change. Because you are not going to have, forgiveness of God. So just carry on. So despair is very destructive. This is despair from mercy of God. But despair from anything positive. Whether it's mercy of God, or despair about success in a project, despair about, marriage, despair about having good children. If you are despaired, you never have energy to do something. Even if you force yourself to do something, there is no attachment, there is no, love. Yeah? There's a big difference between someone who goes to doctor and takes medicine and has hope for cure, and someone who has no hope for cure and takes the medicine. Do you accept or not? Yeah? If you don't have hope and you say, I'm going to die anyway, there is a great chance that the medicine may not work. Even medicine, which is a physical, chemical thing, it's not a spiritual thing, but still hope in your soul has impact on the way medicine works on your body. Yes? And sometimes, even without medicine, if you have a hope, you can be cured. I heard that there is a hospital in one of the European countries that they have very good rate of treatment for the people that are somehow rejected by other hospitals. And the way they act is that when, for example, is the time of sleeping of the patients, okay? And they go next to the bed of the patient, pretending that this person is sleeping, and they talk to each other as he is improving, he's going to, to be released soon. And because he thinks they don't know that he's hearing and they are honestly talking to each other, because if doctor says to the patient, you will become all right, the patient may say, no, he just wants to make me happy. So he thinks they are just talking to themselves. And when every day keeps hearing that he's becoming better and better, then he becomes better. There is great chance that with hope, even your body responds, but definitely soul responds. So we should never be despaired, especially when it comes to God and the spiritual world. But even for the worldly life, we should never be despaired. I just remembered once I was traveling in Tanzania by a small plane, and then this was very small. It was very also difficult, turbulence. Anyway, there was a magazine I was reading. There was a joke, and said that 3 heads of state by mistake were supposed to go to heaven. The idea was that they were not good people, so by mistake they were supposed to go to heaven. So one of them asked God, oh God, when my nation will prosper, when we will have no poverty, no problem, etc. And God said, 50 years. It takes 50 years. He cried. Then another person asked, what about my nation? God said, 100 years. It takes to solve the problems. So he cried. The third person asked God, what about my nation? Then God cried. So what this joke reflects is deep state of despair. And this is very destructive. If a politician thinks that there is no way to solve issues, then either don't do big things to change, or God forbid, then they say, okay, I cannot solve the problem of the whole nation. Let me do something for myself and family. Yeah? This is a problem, sometimes this is, because they don't have any prospect of making everyone prosperous. Anyway, this is wrong. If we spread this culture of despair, if people lose their hope in being able to build their country, their community, their family, this is very destructive. They can just go to, worse. So we should always have hope. And I think even people who are not religious, they must see value in this. But for us, people who believe in God, we should have always hope in all circumstances. And in one of the hadith, one of the sayings of Prophet Muhammad, it says, actually, when you have less hope, when the situation is not very promising, you should have more hope. Okay? Kun lema la tarju arja minka lema tarju. With respect to what you have no hope, be more hopeful. Again, this is logical. Why? Because when you have hope, it may lead to you trusting the situation and yourself and others and not calling upon God for help. But when you are in a more desperate situation, the chance of calling upon God is more, the chance of God's intervention is more. Yeah? Like, for example, when head teacher or principal of a school will intervene to make a classroom, organized and, quiet, when the students and the teacher cannot do anything, yeah, the head teacher would not intervene as soon as he hears a noise. Let the teacher fix the problem. So many times God doesn't quickly come and intervene because he wants us to learn how to fix our problems. He inspires us, he helps us, but says, you have to fix your problem. Don't expect I always come and miraculously solve your problems. Yeah? If you have shortage of water, you have to find a solution. If you have no electricity, you have to find a solution. I can inspire you, but expect me to help you when there is no conventional, no ordinary solution. So, but when we are in a kind of almost hopeless situation, the hadith says you must be more hopeful because God may intervene. And then gives examples. For example, Prophet Moses, after being with Prophet Shu'aib for some years, then he was going in the night traveling with his family, and it was dark night, it was cold. He was worried about safety of his family. He was very alert, he was looking every direction, and he saw a fire. He said to his family, فَقَالَ لَأَحْلِهِمْ كُثُوا إِنِّي آنَسْتُ نَارًا. I have seen a friendly fire. I go, maybe I can take some fire and bring to use as a kind of like torch, as a kind of something to heat, and also maybe I find a guidance where we should go. So he had no hope for anything great to happen. The maximum was to be able to safely continue their journey. But when he arrived there, God spoke to Moses. So he was spoken by God. He received revelation. He was appointed as a prophet. God gave him a mission. So he was in a very hopeless situation, but greatest thing in his life happened, and that's to receive revelation. Or when the magicians went to have a kind of competition, a kind of, challenge Moses, because Pharaoh said that your miracles are not miracles, these are magic. And I will bring magicians to show that this is magic. He brought the best magicians of the country. And they said, do you give us some good reward if we win? And he said, yes, I will give you reward, and you become very close to me. Not only you will be receiving some, gifts, you will become one of people who are very close to me because you have helped me to get rid of my enemy. So these magicians, magicians are not favored in our religious traditions. Magic is not a good thing. So they were magicians, and now they have come to defeat prophet of God, Moses. Yeah? Do you see any hope here for these people becoming better? Someone who has spent his life on magic and now has come to defeat a prophet of God. Nothing positive. But what happened was that when they showed their magic, there was a rope that they had made it in the way that it started moving. This was their magic. But then the miracle of Moses, a stick was becoming a kind of a snake or dragon, and then it swallowed their magic. So they realized that this is not magic. They could insist this is magic. But for a moment they made the right decision that let us be on the side of the truth. So they said this is not magic. This is above magic. The magicians themselves admitted that this is not magic, this is miracle. Pharaoh got very upset because in front of everyone, instead of defeating Moses, Moses was proved to be right. So said to these people, I'm going to crucify you. I'm going to cut your hand and leg and crucify. And they said, no worries, we are transformed. La ghayra inna ila rabbana lamunqalib. They were happy to be martyred. Is there anything better than this? That you reach the point that for the sake of God and truth, you don't worry, you don't bother about your life. Okay, they came with all negativity, but now they have been transformed. So, whenever there is less hope, be more hopeful, because that's the time that the chance of God intervening is more. Another thing that we find in Islamic teachings is that we should have always good opinion about God. Some people think it doesn't matter what you think. God is going to do his job. Okay? For example, whether I think God is going to help me or God is not going to help me, it doesn't make difference. He's going to do whatever he is, thinking is right, whatever he wills. Whether I say God is going to forgive me or not, it doesn't make difference. Some people may think like that because they say God is not acting according to what I think. If I say I'm going to be having miserable life or I'm not going to have miserable life, they say it doesn't make difference. God is going to do whatever he wants. But our teachings say no, it's not right. God treats you in the way that you expect him treating you. At least this is one big factor. I'm not saying 100% relies on this, but it's a big factor. If I say, I am sure that in my religious life or personal life, I am not going to succeed. I'm sure God is not going to help me. So then God is not going to help me. Yeah? But if I say, I am very hopeful and I am almost certain that I'm going to succeed, I'm going to, be successful because I know God is helping me, then God will treat you like that. So our eighth Imam says, أحسن الظن بالله. Always try to have good opinion about God. إن خيرا فخير وإن شرا فشر. If you have good opinion, it will happen like that. If you have bad opinion, it will happen like that. I was reflecting on this. Why God is treating me in the way that I expect. And I came to the conclusion that because the way I think God is going to treat me is very much because of the way I myself have been treating people. Who is saying God is not going to forgive me? The person who has not been forgiving others. If I, as a small person, a little person, a small servant of God, if I have been forgiving people, then I would never say God is not going to forgive me. If I have been kind and sharing with people, God is not going to give me no good sustenance. So it's not by chance that people have different ways about how God is going to treat them. It's exactly because of the way they have been behaving and treating others. Therefore, we have a hadith which says, Kama tadinu tuda. In the way you have been treating others, you will be treated. Okay? Also, I am sharing with you, different points and different resources that we have about hope. Also, when it comes to asking God for help, there are different things that you may think can help you. Some people may think, okay, we are faithful, we have done lots of worship, we have done lots of charity work, so God is going to help me because of my actions, because of my services. Yeah? For example, I have been a cleric, a seminarian, a religious, order, member of religious order for 20 years, 30 years. If God is not going to help me, so who else is going to be helped by God? Yeah? And sometimes even people think, I wish everyone was like me. I wish we had no bad people. So, these are signs of arrogance. Yeah, it's not humility. That I think I have, done so much that God owes me to help me. What we have in our spirituality is that we have to do good actions. Yeah, we have to worship, we have to be, helping people, charitable work, all these things. But these are not giving us any guarantee, and even they are not giving us great hope. My greater hope doesn't come from my good actions, even if they are really good actions, because many times we think we have done something good, but we may have done something bad. Yeah, many people, they think they are doing something good, but God knows how sincere they are and how useful this action has been. History is full of records of the people who have been doing things and they thought they are doing good, but they have been doing very bad things. They have been, even killing, making life miserable for others. So even if it is proved that your action is really good and pleasing to God, your hope should not be in your actions. Your trust must not be in your actions. Our hope should be in mercy of God, in love of God. Therefore, there is a prayer that we are recommended to say after each prayer, which says, "Enna maghfirataka arja min amali." Your forgiveness gives me more hope than my own action. I'm very hopeful that God is going to forgive me. Very hopeful, but not because of my actions. Because I know His mercy. I know His generosity. I know his favors. Okay? So, we have great hope in God, but not because of I am deserving that, I am entitled, or I have right over God. God owes me favor. No. Because in the end of the day, whatever I have done, if it is really good, it's all because of him, because of his blessings. Did I have anything from myself that I can, say, okay, oh God, I, helped you with something that you didn't give me? Everything is from him. And if we do something good, actually we have to be more grateful that we have been able to do right thing. So our hope in God is not through our actions. Our hope in God is not that because I have done something, definitely is going to help me. No, our hope in God is because of his mercy, because of his kindness. I try to do good things, but my hope comes from knowing God. So, when with my broken heart, with my understanding of my needs, I go to God, I am sure he is not disappointed. If I go with pride and arrogance and say, oh God, I have been serving you or your community for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you must help me. He may help, he's very kind, he may still help, but there is great chance also he may not help, because then you become even more arrogant. So God may give you a good lesson, says, okay, you need to be corrected. I don't give you, when you learn your lesson, then come back. But if I go with humility, and I say, God, my hand is empty, I don't have anything to be proud of. But I know you, and I know how kind and merciful you are. God is not going to disappoint you. Therefore, in our supplications, we have great emphasis on hope as being your capital. For example, in Dua Kumel, we say to God, oh God, please have mercy upon the one whose capital is hope and whose weapon is crying. Imagine if you with tears go to the gate of God and say, I have come here with hope. Is God going to disappoint you? It's impossible. We have a term in Arabic, which we use it in Farsi as well. It's a very important Islamic concept. We say Karim. Karim means someone who is very honorable and honors others and is very generous. So, if there is a great gentleman, a very generous gentleman that wants always to treat people with maximum honor, is Karim. So, when you go and knock the door of the Karim, okay, and you say to Karim, for example, my child is ill, I need to take to doctor, could you help me? What would Karim tell you? If someone is not Karim, is not generous, not a gentleman, a noble person, would say, why should I help you? Have you got something to sell? I can, buy from you, or for example, maximum, I can lend you money, but why I should give you something without return? If someone is not Karim, yeah? And even some people who are mean, they will get upset with you. Why you have, disturbed me? Who said to knock my door? Yeah, they will even, complain. But someone who is kind, someone who is very noble in character, and is generous, as soon as someone knocks his door and says, I have come here with the hope that you help me, he feels that I must help this person. Not because he has brought me some gift or anything. No, he didn't bring anything. I owe him now. If you go to your heart and God-given, conscience, you can feel that when a human being comes to you, if you're a kind person, if a human being comes to you and says, with hope I have come to you, you would never disappoint such a person. You feel you owe him. Why? Because he has put his hope in you. People who are, materialistic in their mind, they don't understand these things. They say, if he has done something for me, okay, I will do in return. The maximum is to reciprocate for them. It's a maximum. Some people fail to reciprocate. But people who are noble, they say, I should help people regardless they come to me or not. But what about a person who has come with hope to my door, knocked my door? I can never disappoint this person. Even if I have nothing to give him, I will go around and maybe I have friends I can borrow from them and give this person and solve his problem. Therefore, Karim is never disappointing people, especially if you go to Karim. Please check your heart. If you go to Karim and say, when I was an orphan, you helped me. And now I have grown and I want to go to high school. You all helped me all the years to go to primary school, secondary school. Now I want to go to high school. What would Karim say? If someone is not Karim, say, okay, I have helped you these years. That's enough. But Karim, when has history of helping you, that says, now I have to complete. It's quite opposite. If you say that you have helped me all my life up to this point, this is a kind of extra reason for him to help you, because he doesn't want to stop your progress. So, God is Akramul Akramin. He's the most generous of the generous. He's the most, honoring person, the noblest. So, if we go with hope to God, He would not disappoint us. And God knows our honesty. Sometimes maybe someone knocks your door and you are not sure they are honest, they are not honest. Sometimes they are not honest. But God, if looks into my heart, your heart, and sees that with honesty we have gone to Him, and especially if we say, you have helped us all the way up to here and we are grateful for that, could you carry on? He's not going to disappoint. In one of our supplications we say, قَرَعْتُ بَابَ رَحْمَتِكَ بِيَدِ رَجَائِ. I knocked the gate of your mercy with the hand of my hope. Okay? Because God's gate is not physical, so you knock with your finger. God's gate is a spiritual. You are entering into a spiritual realm. So you have to knock it with hope. Now, this is general. My final part of the talk is about this time. We have a terminology, we say آخر الزمان, the end of time. we are at the final stage of human history. We don't know how long this is going to take. Maybe 10 years, maybe 100 years, maybe 1,000 years. We don't know, and no one should fix any time. But all the prophets and messengers and revelations and the scriptures have already come. Okay? And we have been given signs that indicate that this is going to be leading to the final stage. What we have in our teachings is that in the end of time, when we get closer to coming of Jesus and our 12th Imam, we believe that our 12th Imam who is in the occultation would come with Jesus, and they will fill earth with justice, equity, there will be solidarity, fraternity. But before that, we will have an era which will be full of moral problems. And there are many problems mentioned, maybe above all, injustice, lack of social justice will be everywhere. There will be people or powers or groups that would take the rights of people and treat them without respect, without dignity. They will be very selfish, very greedy, and there would be also some moral corruptions. For example, family life, relation between parents and children, modesty of women. Many problems will happen in that time. Losing faith also becomes very common in the end of time. Even the hadith says that sometimes a person at the beginning of the day is a believer, but by the night loses his faith. Or in the beginning of night is a believer, overnight loses his or her faith. So this is a challenging life. And in some hadith says that protecting your faith in that time would be like, holding fire in your hand. It's very difficult in the end of time to keep your faith, unless you prepare for that. For example, to live in community of the faithful and be surrounded by the faithful people, to be committed to family life, to be committed to prayer. These are all protections that can save us. But those who have no such protections, they can easily lose their faith. And we already see that there are many people who don't associate to any faith. And this can, God forbid, increase. So, when I read these texts about this time, about the end of time, my summary, my conclusion is that both truth and falsehood, which are from the beginning of history of mankind up to the end, like two currents going in parallel. We have the current of truth and the current of falsehood, or the current of light and darkness, the camp of God, the camp of Satan. These two go in parallel. In the end of time, when it comes to quantity, when it comes to material resources, unfortunately, the side of falsehood and darkness would have upper hand. In number, in money, in weapons, they can be upper. In propaganda. But the camp of God, the current of the truth and light, will have the best qualities of all generations. So, we will have the best of people in that dark time, And quality of such people is so high that in spiritual, intellectual equations, they are much stronger than the other side. So people of God, maybe in quantity, maybe in money, weapons, etc., would be less, but in impact would be higher. Actually, the Quran says that God told Jesus, it's very interesting for me as a Muslim to reflect. God says to Jesus that I am going to make those who believe you above those who reject you till the day of judgment. So those who believe in Jesus, true Muslims, true Christians, up to the day of judgment will have upper hand, not in number, not in money necessarily, but in influence. So we will have, in the end of time, despite all the problems, some of the best people of all generations. We will have some of the best believers. So this gives us hope. Plus, we know that whenever there is darkness, whenever there is corruption, whenever there is injustice, whenever no one listens to the cries of innocent people, whenever women, children are mistreated, God supports people who work for justice, for light, even more. In darkness, expect flashes of light and even maybe continuous light. And this is the history of prophets and messengers. Many of them came when no one expected that something positive is going to happen. So we should be very hopeful that in difficult times, God is more available to help, to guide, to support, but not to help and support people who are just praying and doing nothing, or just watching and doing nothing. We should pray and we should work. We should pray and network, work together, and then God will help us. So the last point that I'm going to mention and I finish is that my understanding is this, and several years ago, about maybe 8-9 years ago, I said this to our brothers and sisters in the seminary in London. I said, my understanding is that in the end of time, and we are already seeing the signs of that, the main requirement for success is determination. Determination is always important. You know, we Muslims believe in 124,000 prophets. Yeah, we say over the course of history, God has sent 124,000 prophets. All of them receive revelation. But among these 124,000 prophets, 313 were messengers. Means God gave them message. Others preached the message which was given to a messenger. Among 313 messengers, 5 are the most outstanding. Okay? You must have heard this perhaps. So, 124,000 prophets are chosen by God. Among them, 313 are given message by God. Among them, 5 are at the top. For Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Prophet Muhammad. These are the most outstanding. Okay? Do you know what we call them? What the Quran calls these 5? Ulul Azm. The people who had determination. In Sawahili you say Azm or for determination, or I don't know what you say. In Arabic we say determination, Azm. So God doesn't say these had knowledge, these had piety, these were very kind people, these were nice people. Yes, they were all these things. But God picks up one quality, which is the master quality, and that is determination. if you have prayer, if you have piety, if you do work, and are equipped with determination, a strong willpower, you can succeed. And your determination is above challenges. Therefore, I believe if in the camp of God, the camp of truth and justice, if we have determined people, money is not an issue. Lacking resources, I don't know, weapons, etc., these are not important. If you have determination, you will succeed and you will get whatever you want. Already we see signs of this. In the past, if you had an, I don't know, artistic skills, if you didn't have money, someone to support, it was very difficult. But nowadays, you know, people without anything, they put something on internet and then you see millions of people watch. You have an idea, then someone from another part of the world comes and helps. Don't worry about money, about resources, about buildings, about these kind of things. Just make sure that you have faith with hope. You pray, you work, you do networking, and are determined. Our first Imam says about believers who come in the end of time that they are so determined that if they decide to move mountains, they will do it. لو هموا بإزالة الجبال الرواسي لأزالوها. If they decide to move mountains, they will do it. Those who are not determined, you tell them, you know, could you move this desk? They bring you 10 reasons that it's better to be here. Yeah? So they say, have you heard Avicenna? A great Muslim philosopher, mathematician, and his books were taught in Europe about medicine up to recently. So Avicenna had a student who was very impressed by him, traveling with him, and used to tell him that you are such a talented and genius that you must claim to be a prophet and people will follow you. If you claim that you're a prophet, people will follow you. So he didn't say anything. Then one night they were in a very cold city, and in the middle of the night, he woke him up and said, I am thirsty. Bring me a water from the fountain in the outside. He's a student, you know, was sleeping and the bed was warm, you know, now going outside was difficult. Said, my master, drinking cold water now is not good for you. Your body is, you know, warm and now I bring cold, it's not good. And he brought arguments. In this process, they heard the call for prayer. You know, in a Muslim tradition, even still some places today, the mosques have minarets. You know minarets? So people, because there were no speakers, you know, microphone speakers. So they used to go on top of minarets and call for prayer so that people of the city understand that this is the time for prayer. So at that time, they heard the call of prayer. Avicenna said, this man has left his home in the middle of the night in this cold weather and has gone up to the top of the minaret, so many stairs, and is saying, I bear witness that God is one and Muhammad is his messenger. And he has not seen the prophet even for a second. You have been with me for years and I ask you, bring me a cup of water and you don't bring. So this is the difference between me and the prophet. So people who have no determination, they bring you lots of excuses to justify that you should change your mind. people who are determined, if they realize, if they make their discernment that this is the right thing, they will do it. Even if they have to move mountains, they will do it. This hadith says, لو هموا بإزالة الجبال الرواسي لأزالوها. If they realize that now we have to move mountain, we have to make a tunnel, go through the mountain, whatever. This example, we'll do it. And also says, قلوبهم مجتمعة بالمحبة والنصيحة. Their hearts are united with love and wishing the best for each other. So if we equip ourselves with these things, then there is great hope that we can overcome all challenges that face us and indeed be messengers of hope for others. Thank you very much for your attention. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.